So, if you're anything like me and you grew up in the 90s, then the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance pretty much took up my entire childhood. And last year you might have noticed that through all the EU regulations that were happening, it allowed Apple to actually okay the idea of Game Boy emulation, or just emulation in general, through the App Store. And that opened up the door to the Delta Emulator to finally be available legally through the App Stores after years and years of kind of finding a backdoor and side-loading way. And we even interviewed the CEO of Delta Emulator to give you guys an idea of what it is, and we covered everything that came with it. But again, there was one thing missing from Delta Emulator, and it's the fact that people still wanted tangible and physical buttons, and this GameBaby case might have solved that entire issue. Let's talk about it. So to get started, I'm going to talk about two different aspects. First, we're going to talk about Delta Emulator, which is on my iPhone right here. And secondly, we'll talk about the GameBaby case and how it's being used. So first and foremost, Delta Emulator is 100% free to download. So you go in here and you get all your different ROMs you can get. Again, you should own all the games, and to find your ROMs, just Google how to do it and you'll be able to do it. But this does allow you to have emulation for Game Boy Color, as well as Game Boy Advance, as well as the DS, and a few other different kind of consoles that we've had in the past. And the coolest thing about this is that if I want to open up something like Pokemon Blue, we'll press resume here. Again, you can see that I am using a Game Boy emulator, and I'm able to play it pretty much normally. And you even get some awesome haptic feedback with the buttons, and for the most part it has everything that you would want with the directional pad here, the A-B buttons, the start select, and even the menu button here, and you're able to go through the process of playing these games. I've actually played a few of these games. This one is actually one that I haven't played yet, but if you go to the main menu, go to this Pokemon Yellow right here, so you can see with this one that I have been playing this one for a long time, and I love playing all the old school games because it, again, brings you back to a time that was a little bit simpler and a little bit easier. But again, you are dealing with a touchscreen, and you do have the haptic feedback, which is nice, but you do want a little bit more, and that's where the GameBaby comes into play. So on the surface, the GameBaby is a plastic case that is pretty self-explanatory. It comes in two different pieces. You have the top piece, which of course is going to house the top of the phone or the back top of the phone, and then this is going to be your gamepad where everything is going to be housed and everything from a physical, tangible situation will be. So if you flip this over, you can kind of see exactly what's going on here, because what's amazing about this is that there's no Bluetooth, there's no Wi-Fi, there's no external battery, there's no digital connectivity. This is all done via hardware and all done with physical touch, because it's basically implementing those little touch points where if you've ever used one of those kind of styluses or pens that have the back end kind of this rubbery material, it mimics basically the touch of a finger on any touchscreen surface. So that's essentially what they put on each one of these touch points on the rear, and you can see and feel that it is a little bit different, and it has this kind of rubbery feel to it. But it works great, and in order to get this done, like I mentioned, normally it's going to be a normal case, so if I want to slap this on the top, and then the bottom of it slides on, you can see that it is a normal case for your iPhone 16 Pro Max. It gets the job done, it'll protect everything. It has some nice accents here with kind of like this shiny gold on the side. You also have the other side that matches for the volume rocker and the action button. You do have a camera control cutout as well, so they've thought of that. And then you have your speaker grills, your USB-C port, and of course your camera cutout on the rear with a little bit of a lip. So from a protection standpoint, it's going to protect your phone a decent amount. It is made out of plastic like I've mentioned, and it is pretty rugged, so it should protect from decent scuffs and scratches as well as some drops as well. But the magic is when you remove this piece, and then you flip it over, and then there are these little touch points where you can just slide this on, and then voila, there you have it. You have your iPhone with physical buttons. Now let me show you exactly how to get this to work. So a couple things to note here with Delta Emulator is that this is going to be the standard skin that you get from Delta Emulator. It has the Delta logo, it is this purple color, and of course if you hold it sideways and horizontal, it'll switch to this horizontal view. But again, of course for the GameBaby it's only going to work in portrait mode, but if you do notice, the buttons aren't aligned here. So if I put it side by side, you can see that the directional pad is a little higher, it has a couple extra buttons down here, the menu button's actually on the right hand side on the GameBaby, but on the left hand side here. So what you do need to do, and everything that you need will be in the box, and if you guys want to watch a YouTube short that we did, I'll leave a link down below. But what you're going to want to do here is get the matching skin that's going to go with the GameBaby to line everything up. One of the cool things about the emulator is that you can download custom skins, whether it is for something like this, or just a different aesthetic, a different color, for more buttons. But you just go into your menu, go to your main menu, go up here to the top left where you have your settings, scroll down to where it says Game Boy Color, and then you're going to tap on the portrait mode one. Now I already downloaded this, it's very easy. You just download it off the website from the included QR code, then you open it up inside of here with the little plus button that you see here, and then it unzips the file and you're good to go. But all you have to do here is tap it, and now this is going to be your default portrait mode. So if I go back, we'll press done. If we resume this game right here, you can see that the skin has completely changed. Now you have something that does match what the physical buttons of the GameBaby will give you. It will work if you just want to use a touchscreen. You still have the haptic feedback, it still moves around, you have your A/B buttons, but of course, we want those physical buttons. So you bring it in here, you lock it into place, and then just like that, you now have physical buttons that will react the same way. So you still get the haptic feedback because it is mimicking the touch of a finger, and it does work. I want to say the confidence score that I have with it is like a 98% out of 100, because it basically works every single time. There's no latency issues, there's no missed button placement. Again, I'm not going to say 100% of the time because we are dealing with tech, so some things might happen. But again, this is also a prototype version that it might not be the final packaging, although the packaging did look pretty finalized to me. But you can see that it works perfectly well. So you can go over here, press the start button, move around, press the save button, press B to get out of there. You even have the two thumbprints over here, which allows you to save and unsave. Then you have this menu button, which is awesome to see. So overall, I'm personally in love with this little gadget because again, it works for Game Boy Color, it works for Game Boy Advance as well. You just have to download the correct skin in order to make it work. It just looks cool. It kind of brings this retro feel back to your iPhone, which I've been missing for a long time. And it's just something that I've been wanting for a little while because yes, the touchtone buttons are great with the haptic feedback. It's also awesome because again, Delta's done a great job of developing that, but having physical buttons at this price point is awesome. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick little review and rundown of this case. Again, for what you're paying to be able to get physical buttons on your iPhone when playing all your Game Boy Color games is something that I would pay a lot of money for. And right now, I believe it is $25 for the early bird special with shipments happening in Q1 of this year. And the final retail price, I believe, is going to be $39.99. I was lucky enough to get sent this one to try out and test out, but it looked like the retail packaging for the most part was ready to go. The only thing that I did notice is when I did scan the QR code for the skin to be able to be downloaded, it was in a completely different language, but again, Safari translation was able to get me exactly where I needed to go, and I was able to find the skin to download very easily, even though it was in a completely different language. So that's always good to know, and I'm sure once it does release fully in the US, they'll have a US version of their website. And then the last little tidbit is that unfortunately right now, because I guess it's such an early product, they're only making it for the 15 Pro Max and the 16 Pro Max. No other variation of iPhone, but I'm sure the more that people are actually using this thing, the more that people buy it, they'll be able to have other iterations for other phones moving forward. But that's everything that I wanted to share with you guys, and let me know in the comment down below. Is this something that you would play with? Is it something that you would carry with you? I don't know if I would kind of keep it as my main case at all times because one thing you do give up is going to be MagSafe charging or MagSafe connectivity because of where the buttons are and the placement, but it is very easy to take off and on, so I can see myself bringing this in my bag at all times and then kind of putting it on whenever I need to, which is something that I do see myself doing moving forward, especially because I have a 6 or 7 hour flight coming up in the next couple weeks. This thing is definitely coming with me, but let me know in the comment down below what you think. Is $40 justified? Is $25 justified? Is this something that you would pick up for yourself, for a loved one, or for a friend? All things that I want to discuss down below, and also, what is your favorite Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance game from years past? That'll do it, everybody. If you did make it to the end, leave a little dolphin, so I know you made it to the end, and if you want to watch more videos like this one, definitely check out one of these videos right here, and until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here, everybody. Peace. We'll be playing on this thing all day.